You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Shout out to the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street, right in the heart of the Glebe. Visit them for great food, tasty drinks, and an awesome atmosphere. I was just there Thursday. I can attest, an awesome time at the Glebe Central Pub. I'm Ross Levitan. With me, as always, in the Postcast, it's Brandon Piller. Pillsy, a 5-1 win for the Ottawa Senators, and they earned every single bit of it.
Yep, positive Pillsy is back. This was a big win for the Sens up against a division rival, and a convincing one nonetheless, Ross. I'm not going to lie, when they got up to a lead, I wasn't feeling comfortable. I was like, okay, the Senators have a lead here. It's not safe. But what they did is they did a great job doing what other teams do when they have the lead, protecting it, and just parking the bus, just shutting it down. Corpy had an amazing game. He had to make a lot of big saves early, keeps his team in the game. And other than that one great shot from Patrick Kane, congrats. First goal as a Red Wing. Cool. Sens will take the 2 points. 5-1 win. Let's go, baby.
Who's going to get the helmet from Vladimir Tarasenko? I'll tell you a story about mine in a little while, but this game had so many dips and doodles and, well, the one scary incident, but I don't want to start there. I do want to say we hope that Dylan Larkin's all right. That was a scary moment when he's lying out there motionless. So we are thinking about him, but we're going to bury that subplot of the game, we'll call it, a little bit later, because my favorite stat tonight, Pillsy, is the Ottawa Senators scoring not one, but 2 power play goals for the first time in a game since the home opener, a span of 20 games, and it makes up, because I saw Wings fans, and the rational ones, not the rodents that are crawling all over on Twitter, but they did say, look, no flow in this game, lots of power plays. Well, let me scratch my head here. October 21st, Detroit goes 3 for 5 on the power play, and it's also a disjointed game. So I'm not going to apologize for the shoe being on the other foot. And Pillsy, the Sens had to bury their chances too, and it started early with Claude Giroux getting his 100th point as a member of the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, you love to see Claude Giroux getting in the game early, and that's the thing, Ross. I really felt that this was finally one of those games where I feel like there's a lot of games where Sens get good chances, they're just not able to bury them, and I thought, oh boy, Alex Lyon, he's got a pretty sparkling record and really good numbers this season. I was worried that they were going to get snake bitten again, run into a hot goalie, but they're able to take down Lyon quite easily, and Reimer's got to come in to start the third period for the Red Wings. So that was a great job by the players you expect the Ottawa Senators to be finishing. Claude Giroux, Tarasenko, heck, even Dominic Kubalik got in the mix on this game. Timmy Stutzla, Jake Sanderson, basically a 200-foot goal. What an amazing shot by him on the empty netter. This was just one of those games where the top tier elite players for the Ottawa Senators, they stepped up. And not to mention, Ross, I felt like the role players, guys like Zub, JBD, those guys played their role, and this was a great team effort. And that leads to a win. We don't see that very often, but it's refreshing once in a while to see the Ottawa Senators get a convincing win on the road up against a division rival.
And Ridley Greig, you can't understate the importance of how he just slots everybody else in the right spot. He was being his pestful self.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to get in that tilt that Martian tried to call beforehand, him and Christian Fischer going back and forth a little bit in the third period. But it was the forced turnover that he created that set up Kubalik's goal. It was an unbelievable play where he makes the hit, then makes the play. And that's just the type of hockey IQ that he brings to the table, along with the form that allows him to play the style that he does. It was just a top to bottom effort for the Ottawa Senators tonight. We're going to get to our Send Central standouts. Lost more subplots on this game as well, Pilsy, but we got to put the poll up. The people want to know, who is Vladimir Tarasenko going to give the helmet to? We had Yuri Smakal's first NHL game tonight. We had Dominic Kubalik finding the back of the net against his former team. Joonas Corpisalo made save after save. This game going into the second period even could have been completely different without the play of Joonas Corpisalo in goal. So who are we putting on the poll? And then we can narrow it down once we get to our standouts.
All right, I know the chat is going to say and is saying Corpy. He had a massive game. He was a big reason they won this game. But again, you can't just go for stats with the helmet. You gotta look at emotional ties. Dominic Kubalik will be getting the Fire helmet here. He hasn't scored as much as he would hope, being brought in on the other end of that DeBrincat trade. Scores a beauty goal up against his old team. You could tell that meant a lot to him. So I think Tarasenko is going to realize that and pass the Fire helmet off to Dominic Kubalik. You
don't think there's a chance Mathieu Joseph gets it?
I mean, yeah, he could be one of the guys in the running, but I do think, for me at least, Kubalik is the front runner.
We also have to talk about how great Jake Sanderson, Jacob Chychrun, and Jacob Bernard-Docker were in this game. If your name's Jake,
honestly, any variation of that, Jake, Jacob, and Jacob.
How would you power rank the three of their performances tonight? Because there's a long fall after three, because those guys were all unreal.
I thought this was a great game from Jacob Chychrun. Like, we haven't seen him play kind of a full, complete game, both offensively and defensively in a little while here. But he gets in the mix offensively, gets an apple tonight. And if you look at those stat cards, I don't know much, but I know a lot of blue is good. And Jacob Chychrun, that guy had a whole lot of blue going over to the right side. So that's good as far as I know.
So I'm putting Dominic Kubalik, I'm putting Corpisalo, and I'm putting Yuri Smakal, and then other, and I want other to write in, because I do think there's going to be a part of them going with the kid in his first NHL game. 27 years old, Pilsy, and the only good thing about this Sportsnet broadcast tonight was the graphic they pulled up during a quiet moment, and it showed Yuri Smakal's journey to the NHL. It was hundreds of games in multiple leagues for him to get here. So I think that should be noted as well. Now, he obviously didn't have a huge impact on this game like the other guys that we mentioned. The score 5-1. Senators win over the Detroit Red Wings. They go 2 for 6 on the power play. They outshoot Detroit 37-31 in this game. I'm going to let you take the face-off percentage, because the chat's already buzzing saying Pilsy is going to love this. And who are some of the Senators who stood out in the dot?
Yeah, I do love this. And look, when you're able to possess the puck like this, especially Ross, one thing to consider, and Red Wings fans will probably make this very clear, this is a team that's going 11-7. They're without their second line center, or at least a guy who's been playing second line center there a lot, in JT Compher. And then you lose your top centerman and your captain, Dylan Larkin. So now you're going 10-6 without your top two centermen. So this was a team that was kind of chasing it, and then they're down on the scoreboard as well. So if you can be snapping back those draws and winning faceoffs, you're going to have a huge advantage here. And the Ottawa Senators took care of that. I got to shout out Tim Stützle going 63%, Josh Norris 69%. How about Drake Batherson 100%, but Claude Giroux 13 for 20, good for 65%. He was a big part of this game as well. And then, hey, Ridley Greig 6 for 10, getting back into some good numbers as he's only a few games back from his injury. So all around, great night in the dot for the Sens.
It certainly was. It was a great night in the dot and on the power play. I mentioned 2 goals on the power play for the first time since the home opener. What was working for you? Is it just getting that early one out of the way under 2 minutes in, Claude Giroux, and then going from there? Because that was a workman-like power play goal, right? Cycle it to the top, shot on net, rebound, bang.
Yeah, I thought that the power play was a lot better in this game, especially. I like that Chikrin is just firing it from the point. A high wrister. Line gets the save, but Claude Giroux right there to bang in the rebound. And I thought that was great. And Ross, a big part of this game, at least for me, was the fact that the Ottawa Senators were able to kill off that 5-on-3 that happens in the first period. Like that could have really gone the other way. And Patrick Kane had a huge opportunity. Alex DeBrincat and Patty Kane looked like they were trying to get their Chicago connection back in the mix here, but Corpisalo makes a big save as Kane can't elevate the puck back door. So those are the big kind of saves up against the big players that you need to keep your team in the game. So Corpisalo, that's what we want to see from this guy.
I completely agree with you there. And also in terms of different players that stepped up in this game, I mean, we keep seeing in the chat, but I feel like we have to talk about Ridley a little bit more. Like, just what is it to you that makes him able to be that pest out there? I don't know if you saw, I think it was Fred 5 for biting, a Central Citizen out there on Twitter. And a great handle too. He had the overhead cam. Yes. It was a face-off, and then Ridley just gives him a little. It's nothing malicious. It's nothing that could end up causing an injury. But it's just that little nuisance that he's always reminding you that he's right there and he's going to be annoying.
And I feel like this is so overlooked. The stats nerds haven't found out a percentage or how to quantify this yet. But being a shift disturber, being a pesky rat like that, like Ridley Greig, and I say that in an endearing way, has a lot of value. Ridley Greig, all year before he got injured, he was finding ways to get under guys' skin, and that just throws you off. And the thing is, you want to play a smart, structured game away from your emotions. As soon as you let your emotions start to creep in and get the better of you, you start making rash decisions and decisions that aren't necessarily the most responsible, I'll say, and that throws you off your game. So if Ridley Greig can keep this up while chipping in offensively, and as Steve, our buddy Steve, thank you, says, 60% in the dot, if you can snap him back in the face-off circle too, you're going to have a lot of success, and you're going to be a big part of the reason why this team keeps annoying other teams and winning hockey games.
And we talked about it a little bit when you turn the power play to the PK and that job they did on the 5-on-3 kill. Like they had a great 5-on-3 kill against the Rangers as well. So There's something about this team. They go with Giroux, Sanderson, and Zub when it goes down to 5-on-3, and just the calm composure of Claude Giroux just adds such an element to these guys, and everybody plays a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger on the puck, and they're able to get the easy win tonight over Detroit. But the way the first period went, Pillsy, like the 2 power play goals, let's cancel those 2 out. Like there wasn't even a lot of 5-on-5 time. I know some people pointed out it was like 11 minutes of even strength, but much of that was 4-on-4. So like Yuri Smejkal only played 45 seconds in the first period. But at the same time, it's like, I don't blame the coach for that. They're trying to juggle lines and get everybody into a regular program, but there were so many stops and starts. And then the 5, 6, 7, probably even longer, the delay when the injury occurred there. It just felt like, there wasn't any flow to this game, but I thought both teams went to the locker room and did a good job of coming back and bringing some energy and back and forth play to the start of the second.
Yeah, I mean, it was especially like Ross. I don't know when, we'd have to look back and decide when the switch happened, but the Ottawa Senators went from being a garbage team in the second period to taking over games in the second period, or at least being the better team in the second period. And tonight was the same thing, as they end up scoring 3 goals, and one of them pretty quickly, as they kind of get the scoring going with that nice play where Tarasenko has a nice one-timer that sneaks under Lyon's glove on the power play. So, and that was another result of a good play by Jacob Chikrin. So that's what you want to see from this team heading into the second period, because they were not able to figure it out earlier on in the season.
Steve also pointing out Hamonic played 11 minutes and 19 seconds in this game, which is by far the lowest among Senators defensemen. Other than that, Eric Brandstrom played 15:51. Look, I've been thinking he's been playing better of late this season even, but The last couple of games really haven't gone his way. I think other guys have, stepped up, like Jacob Bernard-Docker, who's +2, plays over 20 minutes. It just feels like the slotting is making a lot more sense now. And Chychrun playing just under, like, everyone's around 20 minutes, right? You have Sanderson at 23, but just having Hamonic at that far at the bottom. They did it against Seattle as well when they went 11-7. He only played 5 minutes or so. And what a surprise. Their better defensive efforts are when they play their best players the most. Now, this might be a rhetorical question, or maybe it's a question that isn't fair to ask just yet, Pilsy. But are we already seeing the influence of Jacques Martin? Because this team looks to, and maybe it's Daniel Alfredsson too, because now that Alfie's been here for over a month, like, I saw Tim Stützle, instead of dipsy doodling when he gets over the blue line, I saw him do it 3 times tonight, that Alfie stop-up play where he curls to the boards and opens himself up for more time and space, and then he can make a play off of that. So is this something that, I don't want to say that, look, they add a coach and all of a sudden now the coaching is the reason they're winning. But even in the 2 losses this month to Columbus and Toronto, they had a heavy advantage on the shot clock and really should have won both those games. So I know that there's no moral victories, there's no excuses, but the team has shown now over a 5-game sample that they know how to play the right way for a long enough period of time to have the ice tilted towards the opposition for much of the game.
Yeah, and look, obviously the Sens record is tough to look at, but
500.
Yeah, back at 500 for now. But Ross, you know better than anyone, this team gets very nervous being at 500, and they'll probably end up not holding it. Hopefully not. Hopefully not that's not the case. But I just feel like this team the effort has been there, and you can see that it's not like they're just totally falling apart and letting teams walk over them. But man, when they've had their bad losses, they can't get a save. And this time, Corpisalo, he does a really great job. He hasn't played in a little while here after Forsberg kind of had that hot run where he gets the shutout and then the good game up against the Rangers. But when these goalies can play just a little bit better than average, like Corpy was really good, but he didn't steal this game, I would say. So he was better than average. This team's able to dominate, and their skilled players are able to cook. And I thought that's what led them to success tonight.
Oh, so much success tonight. Back to 500, still in the basement of the division, still in the basement of the conference.
It's brutal. I wanted to see one movement like there, Ross.
There's a little more hope, Pilsy. There's a little something to build off of here with a divisional win. The Sens still below 500 against the division. They're now 4-5, but Pilsy 2-0 on the road. They have a win in Toronto and a win in Detroit, and they're going to have to get some more road wins going forward. The rest of this month is, a murderer's row at times for the Ottawa Senators. I think they've got a back-to-back in there as well. On the same road trip, they play Colorado, Dallas, and Vegas. And Arizona's winning right now. And, even that's no longer the gimme of the road trip. And it's going to be a heck of a month here for the Senators. But I do feel even in their losses to Columbus and to Toronto that they've shown enough that it's good vibes right now, and good vibes in the chat as well. Okay, I got the story behind why I'm wearing the helmet for this part of the postcast. Pilsy's going to get his. It's en route, man. Shout out to Nick DeFazio and the Ottawa Fire Service. Yep. We appreciate what they do. And if some people are in the chat, maybe 1 or 2 Red Wings fans, just trying to mix it up with us, we'll mix it up with you. We're going to get into the situation that unfolded in front of the Senators net where, battle for the puck, and Dylan Larkin goes down in a scary situation. And then David Perron loses all thoughts of human life. What would you say? It was just a wild moment.
Got his wires crossed. Big time.
Wires crossed. That's a perfect way to put it. So we'll break that down on the other side. And we're going to get to the votes on the poll. Who gets the fire helmet from Vladimir Tarasenko? That's all coming up, but we got to tell you that the postcast is always brought to you by our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. Look, I'm someone who uses the Glebe Central Pub Send Shuttle whenever I can. They're located at 779 Bank Street, and it is never going to be easier to get to Ottawa Senators games than now with the Glebe Central Pub. You buy your tickets online. The link is in our bio in the description below on YouTube, and you can go there and click the game that you want to attend. And bang, $17. You show up, you get your wristband, and you're on the bus to and from. The bus leaves a minute. No, that would not be quick. Teleportation, though, coming soon. No, Sue gets you there. You leave an hour and 15 minutes before puck drop, and I walked in right at the end of warm-up, so it's perfect time to load up on liquids and get to your seat in time for the national anthem. So that's all at the Glebe Central Pub Send Shuttle, $17 round trip, and go check them out at 779 Bank Street for the heart of the Glebe. So if you're going down to Lansdowne, you're going to go to the canal for escape, make sure you make the Glebe Central Pub a part of your routine. Visit them 779 Bank Street and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you.
This podcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's also North America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers in the U.S., so Red Wings fans in the chat, this is for you. You can get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet win. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now's the time. This app is so easy to use. I love it. It's safe, simple, secure, and you can bet on so many different options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get started today. Ross had Claude Giroux as a lock to get in the mix here. That one hit. Martian's had some luck lately. Pilsey's parlay, it's dormant. It's hibernating. Maybe I'll get back in the lab and figure it out. But when I do, you guys know it's FanDuel where I go to place my sports bets. And you can do that too. So check it out today, guys, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. We appreciate you joining us after each and every Ottawa Senators game. We either vent or we vibe, and tonight feels very nice to get the win in Detroit against a team that many put head-to-head and had that rivalry in the February beatdown last year, that 2-game set in Ottawa. And then all of a sudden, heck breaks loose in the first game this season head-to-head. The Wings get the 3 power play goals. Well, since then, now Ottawa has the last 2 wins. Timmy baseball superstar, Timmy Ohtani? Or are we not using that word anymore, Pilsy? But Timmy superstar smokes one into the back of the net in overtime with 2 seconds left. And tonight, it was more reminiscent on the scoreboard as those 2 games at the end of February where Ottawa just put a beat down on the Detroit Red Wings. Should also note, like a lot of people talking about, Detroit this, Detroit that. Yeah, they've had a good start to the season. There's no doubt. But you look at against Ottawa, they're just not that impressive, Pilsy. I gotta say, they got the comeback in that one game that went to overtime. Otherwise, it was a beatdown. And then tonight, nothing. Since COVID, the Senators are 11-2-1 against the Detroit Red Wings and 21-10-6 since the Red Wings moved to the Eastern Conference in 2014. So the same rivalry as a hammer and a nail, but it also gets pretty heated out there for sure. So lots to still break down. Pilsy, should we get to the results of the votes first? Should we get to our Send Central standouts? Or should we break down what was probably, the Sportsnet highlight part of the game, like the plot of the game with the injuries and the chaos that ensued around that play?
I mean, we're 24 minutes in, Ross. I feel like we should get to that moment. It's a moment no one wants to see, especially when it's big-time players like Dylan Larkin. It's a scrum in front of the net. And look, Matthew Joseph clearly is trying to box him out. There's no question that he's trying to make contact there. But I do think it's important to look at that replay and see that Matthew Joseph is bumped, and that kind of pushes him even further, and he's falling while he's boxing out Larkin. And 100% he catches him high. He hits him right in the head with basically the side of his stick, and you don't want to see that at all. But I don't think that was his intention. I think he's just going for a shoulder, trying to keep him out. And then the thing too is, as Larkin's falling, it looks like he ends up catching the side of Parker Kelly as well. So that's kind of like a smush momentum crash right there. And obviously that leads to some serious pain for Dylan Larkin. As pretty scary moment when you see a guy lying on the ice like that, completely lifeless. Like most of the time you see their legs kind of moving and they're shaking in pain a little, but there was zero movement from Dylan Larkin for, I don't know, a good 20, 30 seconds. Like it seemed like an eternity. And They're calling guys over from the stretcher right away. But the one thing that they don't show in that play, and obviously it goes without saying, but it has to be mentioned, we hope Dylan Larkin's okay, and you never want to see anything like that at all, no matter what team or what player it is. Scary stuff. But what they didn't really show in the first, 10 minutes of replays was behind the play, David Perron just getting his wires crossed and immediately going after Artem Zub. Now, look, if you kind of take a second to think about this scenario, it seems like David Perron is looking the other way. He's involved in the play. He doesn't really see what happens. He turns around and he sees Dylan Larkin lifeless on the ice with Artem Zub standing over him. That's a shoot first, ask questions later type of thing, right? Your captain's down like that. You're going after the closest guy or the guy you think did that to him, and he just cross-checks Zub right in the face. Now, that's clearly a play that can't happen. Now, is it retaliation for what happened to Larkin? Absolutely. But I think the refs got this one right. Like, Parker Kelly and Joseph both getting 2 minutes for roughing, and then Perron getting the 5-minute major here for intent to injure. So it's a weird play, a lot of chaos, a lot of bumping bodies, and ultimately you just hope that Dylan Larkin's okay. That's the worst part of this play, because fortunately, Artem Zub, there's no issues there. He continues to play and seems all right, which is great for Sens fans, especially after Artem Zub suffered a head injury early on this season. You kind of get a little nervous there, but the big thing is hopefully Dylan Larkin's okay.
Couldn't agree more. Like, that's obviously the first thought, and Dylan Larkin's had concussion issues before, so you never want to see that. And I think you did a good job of breaking it down. And at the same time, if you're Artem Zub, like, you're probably best to like put your hands up knowing that he's coming for you. But then in that moment as well, the number one concern, as we've covered, is about Dylan Larkin. And not only is Artem Zub not looking or paying attention to David Perron, he's actively trying to wave out help for Perron. That's where it's like, I understand that it's your captain. He's down. It was scary. I honestly thought he was dead. Like, I didn't see what happened.
Scary. It was scary.
He did not move.
Yeah.
Like, when you see like like a murder scene where it's like tape around, like they always have like the arms out, like that's how he was laying on the ice.
Yeah.
It was an extremely scary situation. So I just don't know why your first thought. And not only that, Zub is like standing over top of Larkin. How stupid are you? There's a large chance that that Zub, like, he fell sideways. What if he falls on top of Larkin?
Yeah.
It was a bonehead move, and it was a deserved match penalty for David Perron. Obviously, I mean, the replay looked so bad for Joseph. When you slow it down, it's like, you get a punch right to the chin. But as Martin Method explained, like in the middle of a scrum, like there is back and forth where you ride up a guy's shoulder, but it's just, it rolled up his shoulder and got his chin, and you get hit in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and it's lights out.
Well, I think the worst part of that is, Ross, like I mentioned, Joseph does get bumped a little. It doesn't excuse him for getting a stick up high. You got to be responsible for your stick 100%. But the real issue is, as Larkin's falling, then Parker Kelly ends up hitting him the other way. And I think that's where things kind of click, and that's where the real injury happens. So tough. And then, like you mentioned, like David Perron, you got to have a little more awareness there, being like, okay, I'm going to get my kind of pound of flesh. I'm going to get my revenge here. But I'm going to do it in a way that makes sure that this dog pile doesn't fall on my captain that's down here. And he got his wires crossed. It's as simple as that. Like, there's no explanation. There's no way to try to figure out what David Perron was doing or thinking. He just saw his captain down and lost it. No regard for human life after that. He's just going for revenge right there. And you know what? At the same time, Ross, obviously he got the wrong guy, and he did way over the top move, but that's what you want from your teammates. Like, if Brady Tkachuk was down like that, I'd want the Sens players kicking ass and taking names later. Like, you don't try to figure it out in the moment. You just go nuts and you try to defend your captain, because that's a teammate lifeless on the ground there. Like, geez.
Yeah, well said. No, you're right. It was scary, and hopefully Larkin is okay. I'm glad that the stretcher was waved off, and obviously bring it out to make sure, but he was able to get off the ice under his own power. So Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm comfortable with how the penalties were handed out, except I do think that David Perron deserves to have, I would say realistically, I know I went over the top online, just having some fun with Wings fans who are legitimately the easiest to rile up in the National Hockey League. And we'll take that all day. Appreciate the, the impressions there. But another part of that I found, to be, or sorry, what I was going to say about it, I think it needs to be 5 games. 5 games to me is like, it's a blatant attempt to injure. And the difference, because Wings fans keep coming back and saying like, oh, well, Joseph, like if Joseph gets 1 game, and again, people pointing out in the chat too, like Parker Kelly was the one who actually delivered the knockout blow. Yeah. I think as he was already on his way down, he glanced off of Parker Kelly's stick in the wrong spot. But all that to say, it's intent versus result. I think that you could realistically draw that up as a battle in front gone wrong. Okay, yep. It goes wrong. Sure, you want a punishment, but Perron was premeditated, retaliatory, and against an unsuspecting opponent who was actually trying to help the situation. And also wasn't even the guy who did the crime. There were 2 guys who did the crime on the ice. They were shorthanded at the time. There were only 4 guys on the ice.
Yeah, you had a 2 out of 4 chance, a 50-50 chance, and you missed it.
And you missed, so you should be paying for that too, because I'm not a math guy, but that's pretty embarrassing as well. Although, he's not there. I get that he's looking the other way, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it, Pillsy. And I think with that, we should move on to our Send Central standouts. I got a little, a mid-course for it, because we had my cousin had a couple buddies who went down to the game. I just clipped a 9-second thing of this. Jeff Cheek and Jeff Lynch, absolute beauties down in Detroit. So I'm going to play you a little 9-second clip, their thoughts on tonight's Ottawa Senators game in Detroit against the Red Wings. Pillsy, start yelling at me if the audio doesn't play. It's just a 9-second clip here.
I'll tell you what, that was to quote the return of Jacques Martin. That was a man's game at Detroit. Looked like a bunch of boys out there.
That's just it. Man's game out there, Pillsy. And Detroit was playing like a bunch of boys. And it was a bully fest for the Ottawa Senators. And with that, I mean, they later on in the video, and maybe I'll post the full one, whether it's as a standalone on YouTube, maybe on Twitter, something like that. Go visit at Send Central. They said, how long till Jake Sanderson is seen as the best defenseman in Senators history? It's easy to laugh at that, Pillsy, but it's also easy to point out that the Detroit Red Wings had 4th overall in that draft. They could have a defensive pair of Jake Sanderson and Moritz Seider. Now, Lucas Raymond, nice player. This is nothing against Lucas Raymond, but Jake Sanderson is going to go down as the best defenseman in that draft class. Heck, he's already sitting, Pillsy, at 46 career points, and he hasn't hit 100 games. This guy's a half a point per game defenseman who was discussed over and over again as a guy whose offense is not the best part of his game at all. This kid is incredible. I know tonight's goal, it's not like a blast from the point like in the first game against Detroit, but that's as skilled of a move.
Pretty impressive, yeah.
He sent that thing 200 feet down and he hit middle of the net.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, honestly, that was such an impressive move, and he did it with such determination and confidence, and he had to get that off quickly. Like, they were on him pretty quick there, and he just spins around, looks up, fires it, and right drills it to the back of the middle of the net there. You'll love to see that from number 85.
Before we get to our Send Central standouts, Sens fan and Van, who's awesome. We appreciate it. And the best part is whenever we get to pull up their post, it's the cutest puppy there too. So we love that here. I'm a sucker for puppies. Pillsy hates puppies, but Pillsy's a good guy.
True. Get that slander out of your mouth.
I'm kidding. Pillsy loves all animals, chickens, cats, dogs.
I'm an animal guy. Yeah.
Pillsy is a big animal guy. Sens fan and Van says the Sportsnet was a Detroit feed. Now, I worked the Jets game last Saturday with this same panel, the same guys who were calling the game. I don't want to get into like the quality of the broadcast, but I did notice a few times, like they didn't perfect. This is what I'll say. And Pillsy, I'd like you to go off if I speak, but no, what I will say is they did 10 minutes of reviews on the Larkin play and not once showed the David Perron.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was saying. They showed so many reviews of that. And then when they called Perron for a 5-minute major, I was like, What? Like, where is that coming from? Like, how did you show the review that many times and you didn't show that part of the play? That was wild to me, Ross. You know what? I'm not putting that on the two broadcasters. As a replay guy myself, that's on the replay guy. Like, the replay guy in the truck has got to be going, hey guys, I think we've shown this enough of Larkin getting hit. I think the 20 replays we showed are suffice enough. How about you take a look at my other camera angle here, the camera 2 of Perron just viciously attacking Zoop with a cross check to the face. Like, I can't believe that they didn't have that. So that one, as a replay guy, Ross, I'm blaming the replay guy in the truck on Sportsnet on that one. Be better. Come on. Lot of chickens. 50,000 new Sens fans arrived in the barn yesterday.
All right. New Sens fans arrived in the barn. I love it. Hot lunch is here. I'm here, Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller. Might get a random drop in here from Martian, but right now we're getting to our Sens Central standouts presented by the Glebe Central Pub. On the way there, the helmet. Okay, I got to get this helmet story out, Piller.
I don't even know this story. Let's hear it.
Oh, so okay. Stolen Valor, and we already asked Nick DeFazio. He said we're able to wear it, so we've been knighted to wear these helmets in honor of the Ottawa Senators and what the Ottawa Fire Service does for us.
It's an honor.
Now, I use carry-on only when I travel. So, obviously, I don't have enough room. So I have this thing hooked onto my backpack. So I'm Stolen Valor the whole way through. Everyone thinks I'm a firefighter. Carrying my helmet through the Pearson Airport. Plane's delayed. You know, I'm taking up all kinds of room. I've got my big carry-on. I got my bag and this. This thing is not small. It's not light. Okay, so I'm carrying it this whole way. Then I go to work today. I come back, and it's sitting on the couch right beside me. I was like, I just carried this thing so far. I embarrassed myself time and time again because I don't deserve to wear this on a day-to-day basis. So I said, you know what? I'm going to wear this for the first 2 minutes of the game. Sens have been inconsistent. I'm going to wear it for 2 minutes. Okay. Guess what happens?
Goal.
Claude Giroux scores the goal. Okay. So I'm already feeling good. Then my food arrives. I had some great fried chicken tonight. Fried rice with chicken.
Nice.
Great meal. But obviously I'm not going to wear this while I eat. I take it off. Guess what? Patrick Kane scores. Well off. So I put it back on, Pilsy, and then all of a sudden it's bang, 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 bang. Sens win the game. So I don't know if I just, went backwards into a new, what do you call it? A ritual or a superstition?
Yep.
But I might have.
Hey.
I might have to wear this helmet wherever I am when the Senators play.
I was going to say, if that's what you got to do, Ross, you got to do that because this team needs any kind of mojo, any kind of superstitions, anything behind the scenes that can help them get more 5-1 wins up against division rivals. Let's go.
All right, lead us off, Pilsy. Our Sens Central standouts presented by the Glebe Central Pub following an Ottawa Senators 5-1 road win against their Atlantic Division rival, the Detroit Red Wings.
You know what? We're a hashtag goalie-friendly show, and this is a 5-1 game. My first Sens Central standout, Giroux, Corpisalo. I mean, 30 saves, 31 shots. Patty Kane beats you, but that's a nice shot from a great player. I'm not going to get too upset there. But he had a lot of really great saves. Like, there was one chance. I'm trying to find it in my notes, but he had to make like 3 or 4 saves in a row. And there was just so many opportunities that the Red Wings had where Corpisalo was sharp. I thought he played an overall solid game. Not a lot of rebound chances. The glove hand was looking nice. He had a couple good shoulder saves. He didn't have any of those weird, is he going to play the puck? Is he not going to play the puck? Miscommunications with the defenseman. So even though Corpisalo's been sitting on the bench for a little bit here, he came in and he got the job done. So shout out Giroux Corpisalo.
I like that. Read that, Pilsy. But Giroux Corpisalo was awesome in this game, especially in the first period there when the Red Wings had 7 shots. So the way this game started, I think, is the perfect example for how Giroux Corpisalo deserves a ton of credit in this game. Look, Ottawa gets the power play. They cash in right away, 2 minutes in. But the shots are 5-0 Ottawa until Brady takes a hard slashing penalty and probably one, like, I don't know, whatever. He takes the penalty. And on that power play, it ends up being a 5-on-3. So it's extended beyond 2 minutes. Detroit got 7 shots on that man advantage, the 2. And those weren't easy shots to face in the first 6-7 minutes of the game. He was incredible, man. Not only that, I thought there were a couple times where Detroit started to get a lot of zone time, and he would just, catch the puck, quick whistle. Best skill that's underrated by a goalie is having the acumen and ability, and Craig Anderson was great with this, is knowing when to freeze the puck just to take a breath.
Yes.
There were some times where Ottawa could have easily, or Corpisalo could have easily moved the puck, and they could have just broken out slow. But he recognized, and I remember one in particular where JBD was kind of like, out there for a minute 10, and he goes, no, I'll just cover it. All good. We'll just take the face off. And then to your point, Pilsy, then they go 59% in the dot.
Yeah, especially when you're recognizing your team is dominating in the dot. And that's kind of one of those check the game notes as well, right? Like no JT Compher, now Dylan Larkin's out. So these guys are weak up the middle. They're already playing 11-7. So slow it down, take the face off, get possession, and allow your team to control the pace of the game here. You don't need to be chucking it out and trying to make sure that they're staying fast. Slow it down, control the game, possess the puck. And I thought that was a good job by Corpy. So that's why I wanted to give him a shout out right off the bat.
For sure. Chad agrees that was a Corpy win tonight. And a lot of people, like our guy Matt, who was at the Glebe Central pub on Thursday as well, are saying that you win and you're in. So I want the chat to let us know here while we're talking about Corpisalo.
Yep.
He's probably going to start, right?
Oh, yeah. I give him the start up against Carolina for sure. Because then, Ross, you got a back-to-back right after that. So then Forsberg's going to get back in the mix here too. So that's not too long of a break.
And we'll have time to break down the Carolina game on Monday, but they've literally gone Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, and now are flying across the country to Ottawa to play there. So that's
and it hasn't been easy on them. Rod Brindamore said in the first period when he was getting interviewed on the bench, I think we're going to lose 50-0. They were down 5-0 to the Oilers right off the hop.
We know he likes his hyperbole, eh? They didn't get swept.
Yeah, although that wasn't too far off. I think the Edmonton Oilers broke a franchise record for fastest goals scored. They had 2 goals in the first minute of the game. And you're talking about a team that had Gretzky, Messier, like these guys were absolute killers. And that was the night they get the record for fastest goals. Like, sheesh.
That's amazing. So Joonas Korpisalo, our number one Sen Central standout. And Matthew points out that was Joonas Korpisalo's 100th career win. So stick taps to Joonas Korpisalo for his 100th career win in this game. All right. So with my first Sen Central standout, Pilsy, I know we're going to get to the defensemen, so I'm going to leave them. I want to group them all together. Vladimir Tarasenko stays hot. Like this guy, when he's at the top of his game, he's so fun to watch because I was sold on him as a goal scorer, a sniper. This guy's just as good, if not a better playmaker. And I don't know what took them so long to put him with Tim Stützle, but those two together are making magic out on the ice. I love the style that they play together. They feed off each other. And Tarasenko, he's throwing his body around down low. He was giving himself some extra ice. So I want to shout out Vladimir Tarasenko as a guy who went 13 games without a goal. And now, yeah, it's not, in the back of the net for him tonight, but what it is it's a game where he can, it is in the back. I knew he scored a goal and an assist in this game for Tarasenko. Oh, yeah. So for me, it's him doing the little things on the ice that are now being paid off. And now all of a sudden he's on a little stretch where it's a heater from a cold streak. So hopefully Kubelik's next doing that.
Yeah, well, and Ross, the good thing is this is especially important for Vladimir Tarasenko to get hot right now because he was struggling, and rightfully so, on that line with Kubalik and Chartier. So now he gets elevated onto a line with some playmakers like Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson. If he had stayed cold, then maybe DJ Smith is like, okay, I'm sending you back down. You can't do it with these guys. We'll just send you back down here. But he's showing DJ Smith, hey, I'm a perennial 30 goal scorer. Like, put me with some offensive guys here. Give me some support. Give me the puck here. And now he's getting it and he's making the most of it. And yeah, like Nick Spence says, Tarasenko, Stützle, Batherson is pretty much the top line here. So I love to see it from Vladimir Tarasenko.
And I just want to do it snake style because it's on his line. Dude, that pass Drake Batherson made gets him a standout from me.
Yeah.
He creates, he opens ice, he creates time as well with the pullback. And then a little one hop saucer pass. It was just brilliant. And Timmy has a great finish, comes in with speed, but like that's when Batherson's at his best. He's manipulating in the offensive zone. Never going to beat you with straight speed, but it's the little intricacies with the way he positions his stick that allows him to create. And his passing was unreal tonight.
Yep, agreed. And that's the playmaking ability he's able to have. Yeah, exactly. Like Jordy's saying there. My next Sens Central standout, we already talked about it a little bit, but Claude Giroux. I mean, Claude Giroux has been stringing together a bunch of really good games, and perfect timing from my guy Senator here. Second fastest Sen to 100 points. Suck it, Yash. And yeah, Claude Giroux is that dude, and he's showing it. He goes 65% in the dot, a goal and an assist tonight. Ross, Giroux might eclipse or surpass, I should say, his point total from last season. And our guy, guest of the show, his trainer, Tony Greco, told us, guys, I know this is cliche to be saying from a trainer and right before training camp and in the offseason, but Giroux's in the best shape of his life. He's going to have another big year here. And clearly he was right on the head right there, because Claude Giroux is continuing to have a great game. And I like that line of Brady, Norris, and Giroux as well. Maybe not the most effective line, but they're playing well too, and it's allowing the rest of the roster to shake out nicely. So shout out G.
How many shots on goal in this game for Claude Giroux?
Oh, I think he had a bunch. I could tell you right now. Five shots on goal in 21 minutes and 13 seconds.
That's amazing. And if you look at it as well, I'm just going to ballpark the last one. I'll say 58 point. I'll just leave it as it. What was he tonight? Around 60%?
In the dot?
Yeah.
65 exactly. 65%.
So I'll bump him up 0.1 for his time in Ottawa. Guys, I know okay. I came almost too prepared tonight. I was ready tonight with this one. And when it's on with Claude Giroux, I've already got the template ready to go. Ooh, so this wasn't going to miss. And you just look, the numbers are actually like so incredible that they have to be looked at in front of this screen. 101 points in 104 games. By the way, can we talk for just a moment how Danny Heatley is first? So he's second. Danny Heatley got 100 points in 80 games.
Wait, I thought Yashin was first.
No, he said suck it. Yeah, Yashin was third.
Oh, gotcha.
No, it was close. Yes. It was like Yashin was third at like 107, something like that. And he got it at 104, and then Heatley's at 80.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, that's insane. I mean, when you get back-to-back 50-goal seasons, that'll happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got it right here. Yeah, 107 for Yashin, 104 for Giroux, and 80 for Danny Heatley. So shout out to John Perlberg with TSN for that. Even when the game isn't on TSN, TSN brings you the best stat of the night. And shout out to Claude Giroux as well for being a Sens Central standout in this one. Can I just do Jacob for my Sens Central standout? Because I want all three of them.
Honestly, go for it. I will allow it.
It's so impressive to see what Jake Sanderson is doing for his age, dude. Like, look at the ups and downs from him. I'm just going to point out, and I know there's been some injury concerns with him, but heck, Sanderson went through some injuries when he was in college, but like Jamie Drysdale has had moments where it's like, yeah, we see the potential, but the consistency of Jake Sanderson when he's not paired with Travis Hamonic this year, if you took out all of his time with Hamonic, it's his numbers, I bet, are among the best defensemen in the league.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Jake Sanderson, there's so many times throughout the game where he's, I don't want to say out of the play, but a normal player would kind of be out of the play, but his skating is so good. He's right back in it. And not only does he get back in the play, he makes the right play to break it up defensively. And then you mix in his offensive capability. Sure, it's an empty net goal, but it's still a really skilled play to send it 200 feet that high right in the net. And he continues to be an excellent player that is just going to get better and better and better. I mean, he's still on his entry-level contract. And then after that, you got him locked up for 8 more years. So enjoy the next 9 years of Jake Sanderson, as we'll get to watch him grow into his prime and play in his prime as an Ottawa Senator. It's beautiful.
It really is, man. The poise that he plays with, he's always thinking the right way. And like, I honestly want to give almost as big of a shout out recently. to Jacob Bernard-Docker, because like they never played together at North Dakota. Like they played on the same team, but they were never on a pair together. It was always JBD with Matt Kierstead, and they were only there for the 1 year together. Sanderson, it was like we didn't want to give him too much too soon, but then by the second part of the year, it's like, oh, now we have two great pairs because he was so good and controlling the play in the right way. So for those two to find chemistry right away, I mean, both of them would probably tell you they're easy to play with, right? JBD doesn't want the puck on his stick too much, but I even thought he was more confident. Even a couple times tonight, Pillsy, Sanderson would leave it behind the net, and JBD actually ran the breakout. I noticed a couple times. So, he's showing so much more confidence. He tried to lay a good hit on Alex DeBrincat, but wasn't able to quite, knock him down the way he has a few guys recently. But they were both great. And as you already noted earlier in the show, that Jacob Chychrun was also skating in this one and putting pucks on net. Did it hit for me? Oh, 2 shots at over 2.5. But he matched his shot total with 2 assists tonight. And after being -2 against Toronto, he's +2 tonight. So a nice night for our guy, Jacob Chychrun. And the Senators decor as a whole, like, you look at it, like Zub, just calm, steady presence. And I think you're really just looking at who's going to replace Hamonic sooner rather than later. And is this something, Pillsy, where you look outside the organization? I think that might be if the Senators can win a few more games, because you can't be, I don't think, in the position that Ottawa is and, make a buying move just yet. I think this core needs to figure it out a little bit. But that could be a conversation that comes up sooner rather than later. Is it time to go out and get, a guy? And Chris Tanev just comes to mind because he's very good at defensive hockey player and he's signed to a 1-year expiring contract. I think those are two things that would be really good for Ottawa. But I think the price to acquire him would be much too high right now. You want to see what you have when you have Shane Pinto in, and you want to see how everything looks up front. But man, it's tempting because you see the nucleus of what these guys have right now outside of them.
Well, and they can't afford his cap either, which is unfortunate. So I think if they were to do something, Ross, it would kind of be taking a flyer on a bottom pair defenseman on an expiring deal just to kind of bolster things at like maybe a cheap draft pick cost. They just don't have a lot of flexibility, unfortunately, right now. But with Thomas Chabot being on LTIR and no kind of definitive timeline, maybe you're enticed to do that and then just try to figure it out later, move some money out later. But it'll be interesting. I think before they do that, Ross, they should give Max Gannett at least a look, right? Like, why not see what you got if that's what you're going to do before you go out and move money and spend draft picks to bring a guy in?
Okay, I like that. Any final thoughts, Pillsy? This has been a great postcast. Over 500 citizens in the chat throughout the night. We got a boots on the ground report from our guys, Jeff and Jeff, spelt differently, I may add.
Nice.
But a couple beauties. They run another Ottawa Senators blog, it's called. So they're absolute beauties. Boots on the ground tonight with my cousin Matthew. So great to have that perspective. Dr. Bob, we got to see on TV tonight. And this is the difference between TSN and Sportsnet. I will say this. TSN goes, hey, that's Dr. Bob.
Yes.
Sportsnet's like, look at these Sens fans, right? Like, they don't personalize it.
Yeah, and I think the comment too was, a quick trip for Sens fans to come to Detroit. A quick trip? Dr. Bob has put over 100,000 kilometers on that Toyota. Get with it.
But we do know he lives in Southern Ontario, so this probably is the closest place.
True. I mean, fair. Yeah, fair. Maybe they knew that. We'll give them benefit of the doubt. Maybe they knew that.
Kevin wants a postcast after dark. Kevin, we've just decided that it's Saturday. Like, we're after dark right now, Kev. Like, we're going with an extra long one. The citizens are being great in the chat. We absolutely love it. Couple Wings fans have come and gone. They've listened to our takes. They've hated them, and then they leave. So it's all good, man. They fly away with their broken wings. But right now, it's all vibing after the Sens get the victory. Back to 500. 11-11. Praise Alfie.
Let's
down
go.
to 22 games, and a busy month continues. But Pillsy, I feel like wrapping up the postcast sometimes, looking at the out of town scoreboard's kind of nice if people are waking up and looking. You know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
You know where I'm going with this, eh?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yet another 3-point game for Atlantic Division teams. The Montreal Canadiens get the win in a shootout over the Buffalo Sabres. And Ross, to add salt to the wound here, in almost all of the East Coast versus West Coast matchups, the East Coast teams won. Boston versus Arizona. Boston wins. New Jersey versus Calgary. New Jersey wins. Toronto versus Nashville. Toronto wins. I'm trying to look at, the New York Islanders win in overtime here. Philly is winning in their game. And of course, Tampa is winning in their game. So like the out of town scoreboard, the hockey gods are just smiting the Ottawa Senators.
But do you know what I'm gaining from this?
Tell me. Let's hear it.
These aren't the games in hand because everybody's playing.
Nice. I like that spin zone, Ross. I mean,
we still got our games right here.
Yeah. We got the games. Our cup runneth over with games in hand, but you got to win those games in hand, and you got to have those teams lose as you go along here. So a nice victory for the Ottawa Senators, though. We're not gonna water it down here by the out of town scoreboard, because a 5-1 win over the Detroit Red Wings is a beautiful thing.
Like, no bad performances tonight.
No, I mean, like, even Hamonic, like, obviously not a great game, but I'm not looking at him being like, wow, that was terrible. So, and Zach McEwen doesn't play, so that's nice. And you know what? This is great for Jiří Smejkal. Like, that video of him doing the rookie lap, Ross, we haven't seen anything close to a smile on Jiří Smejkal's face all season. He was grinning from cheek to cheek. So you'll love to see that from a guy in his mid to late 20s getting an opportunity to play in the NHL after a long road to get here, like you mentioned, Ross. So hopefully that can spark some fire in Jiří Smejkal, because I believe he can be a nice fourth line player.
Yeah, he only played 6:55 tonight. We talked about it, not much at all in the first period. Got out there for a garbage time power play with the last 2 minutes in this game. And he's got to play the next game, right? Like, you can't take him out. You're not changing anything when you go home and play Carolina. Now, Carolina is a speed team. They are an on-you fast team. So it'll be interesting to see how Smejkal's game responds to that, because he's more of a big body grind you down low. But yeah, I'm excited to see solid, no mistakes, right? That's what you needed from Smejkal. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to go a step further. He had a nice little chip and chase where he evaded the defenseman, went in, poked the puck, went off, and then 30 seconds later or less, then they score that Kubalik goal. So it wasn't a direct assist, but my guy Max was quick to mention to me, because he texted me earlier today. He said, I got this feeling about Jiří Smejkal. So he goes, I'm going to take a quarter credit on that one with the situation. But no, all joking aside, we are, again, waiting update for Dylan Larkin, hoping that he's all right. We're waiting to hear that David Perron has a hearing with the league. And you know what? To me, Matthew Joseph answered the bell, fought Christian Fischer in the start of the third period, and got booed the rest of the night. I like the vibes with the boos. I think that's good. Ottawa obviously booing Alex DeBrincat. And my final note, Pillsy, is just a classic Alex DeBrincat game. Gets his point on the power play. Otherwise, not very noticeable. 3 shots on goal. Fanned on a glorious opportunity, the equivalent of hitting the post, fanning on it. And he's dashed 3 at the end of the night. So,
well, I don't know, Ross. Maybe just lazy on some plays. Maybe not his best effort going for the puck. And yeah.
Oh, he was so happy when Kane scored that goal. So to watch it just disintegrate was just fantastic to see.
Yeah, you'll love to see it. You absolutely love to see it if you're a Sens fan.
So those are our thoughts on this game. Let's get some Go Sens Go in the chat. We are nearing the 1 hour mark, which means it's been a phenomenal postcast, getting the chance to chat with everybody after the Ottawa Senators earn a glorious 5-1 victory, already their third matchup against the Detroit Red Wings this season. When's the final one?
2-1 record also.
What's that?
2-1 record versus the Wings so far in the first 3 games. Thank you.
When is the final game?
Oh, it's gotta be late.
I hope it's
here it is. January 31st, Ross, in Detroit.
Oh, so that's middle. That's game 47. So hey, Shane Pinto will be in the lineup the next time these two teams face off. Hopefully,
let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope so.
Oh man, the chat's been fantastic tonight. We really appreciate you all. Steve G, Buck, Danny, Sens fan in Van. You guys are all so kind. Mo as well. Nicholas, and Sens fan. Let's answer. I don't know if you saw this one already. Nicholas asking, are we getting Giroux jerseys? That white one right there has no name or no number. That's going to be a Claude Giroux jersey. It has to be. The way he plays, the heart, soul, determination. It has to be a Sens fan must-have for this era. Because I still think we're like 3-4 years left in the Claude Giroux era. I really do believe he's not even like close to fit.
He's going past this contract. He's going past this contract.
How
that
could
we
he?
say with certainty. Yeah.
He's getting multi-point nights every second game.
Yeah.
He must be having so much fun, and he wants his kids to grow up around it. So, Nicholas, it's the hardest of hard yeses that we are rocking Giroux jerseys. Giroux jerseys are going to be cool for the rest of time at the CTC. So, get one for sure. Appreciate that, Nick, and appreciate the Ottawa Senators for showing up tonight and making our job fun here in the postcast. We vent or vibe, but certainly the night that I take this whole travel day with the fire helmet, shout out to Ottawa Fire Service and Nick DeFazio. I needed to be able to put it on and rock it with pride as the Ottawa Senators earn a 5-1 victory over the Detroit Red Wings at Little Caesars Palace in Detroit. A road win for Ottawa. They outshoot the Detroit Red Wings 37-31, and they come out with the 5-1 victory. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Go make sure to visit the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe. Visit them for great food, tasty drinks, and oh yeah, the Send Shuttle. Get to and from the CTC for $17 round trip. Let's get some Go Sens Go in the chat. We will see you all on Monday for another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.